and encouraging you to do the same. That's how we flow in the community, y'all. And it's a good day. In fact, we got 2 open buffaloes in here, and as they get settled, we're gonna turn the mics over to them. But meanwhile, I'm gonna say to Austin again, because Austin slid in on me. Him and Latasha hooked me up with some cupcakes. No, I'm not sharing. I'm not in the sharing mode. This is the new Jim. The old Jim you knew, he left the building. This is the new Jim, man. And I'm telling you, man, every home can't have one, but I can give you the formula.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I will say, well, we want to celebrate the birthday because it is not only the work that you've done, recognizing that we got to make sure we're having some real celebratory moments, because for many years you've been bringing kind of the conversations to the community. And as we kind of close and transition into the next step of what that looks like for you, I think it's just important that we give people their flowers while they can still receive them. But to that point, I don't want to take up you guys' time from Open Buffalo. I want to give us a chance before we hand the mics over, though, just to say, if you do know somebody who would like to, if you do know somebody who would like to join into the conversation, or you yourself would like to join into the conversation, you can join in at 716-837-1112. But like I said, without further ado, I do want to give our guests a chance to introduce themselves and kind of give us some information that we need to know about Open Buffalo and the work that you guys do. So if you guys want to go left, right, left, I don't think nothing wrong with ladies first, but
that's the way I'm gonna go. I'm gonna let the world's famous give her intro, because she's very elegant when she does it. So the world's famous from Open Buffalo, it's all yours.
Well, first of all, we want to go happy birthday.
Oh, look out here. Check it out. Look at here. Okay. I'm feeling it. I'm telling you. Well, now people don't get them. I'm telling you.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do. I mean, I usually fly low, so nobody knows.
Never fly low on your birthday.
Oh, I hear you.
I am the Queen Supreme birthday junkie. I love my birthday. I think that it's the anniversary of your life.
True that.
And I think that it should be celebrated big always.
True that.
And so even if you don't announce it to the world, personally, I just kind of think that you should make a big deal of your birthday.
Glow. Listen. Spider-Man ain't got nothing on me. I'll be everywhere.
So I hope you enjoy that. But I really do appreciate you all welcoming us to the show. There are so many exciting things that we are working on at Open Buffalo. And we're just thankful, right, for the opportunity to be a voice for the community, because that's what we are. We're an advocacy agency. We want to make sure that the residents of the city of Buffalo know that we're working for them, that we are making sure that social, economic, ecological, and other injustices are made known. And we just want to be the voice that comes in and says, this is not okay, right? This is not okay. And what can we collectively do to ensure that this does not continue? And so Greg has been working on so many different things in the community, starting with soil sampling that I think residents should really be made privy to, because we don't know what dirt our kids are playing on. Right. And so when you think about it, it's in your mindset for a homeowner, you're thinking, well, I don't want to report my soil, right? Because if I report my soil, then I can't sell my home, because I have to report back that it's not safe. But it's important to know what it is, especially if you have children. What are my children playing on? So that's where Greg comes in.
And so in my coming in, right, I am what we would call an ecological justice specialist. And sidebar, Jim, happy birthday to you always, because we go back a long way. And it's been an honor. It's been a privilege to not only know your name, but to be able to have the privilege to have had private conversations that I take with me forever and always. So with that said, when we talk about climate justice, we want to address the disproportionate impacts of climate justice that has on poor residents, right? So let's say, for example, we know how in Buffalo it gets hot. So with the push of having trees planted, I'll give you an example. How many are familiar with Timon Street? If you go on Timon, you know they got trees.
Right.
When it's the hottest of hot here in Buffalo, the trees help keep Timon cool. Right? Where if you live on the street such as I live, where in October Surprise took our trees, if it's 90 or 95 on a regular hot summer day
You got
with
it.
no trees, you're looking at about an additional possible 10 degrees, right? So that makes it scorching hot. So basically, as she said, we want to address these inequities. Um, we want to get people's soils tested. When I go out, I ask people, some refuse. That's fine. Maybe they don't feel it's important.
Well, but let's talk about just briefly, Greg, and I hate to interrupt you so abruptly, but let's talk about some of the possible reasons why people refuse so that perhaps we can get them to change their mind.
Well, some reasons may be because people may have not paid attention to it. Uh, some may not know about the environment. Some may have not been exposed to environmental uh, occupation as an occupation. Whereas, and let's just say we know about garbage pickup, trash pickup. We know that inherently. But the environmental world for us is fairly a new world that we're coming into. So we want to encourage people to learn about the world.
But can I ask
Pull
you,
it close.
may I ask if you could talk to me about what happens if my soil is, I don't know, what's the proper answer? My soil is,
Let's say if it's what we're testing, and let's say if it's high in lead,
okay,
we test it. Uh, the test then goes, at least as of last year, it went to Test America in Amherst, where it takes about 2 weeks to get the results back. Once we get the results back, we contact the residents, let them know. And what we also do is try to provide some possible resolutions to bring it down.
but what is the problem with high lead levels in my soil?
High lead levels, uh, they mainly affect children, affect them neurologically. So that's why when they're young, we children play with dirt and things outside if they go outside, and they may put their hands in their mouth and things like that. So with lead in your house and lead paint, and we know that lead from our old housing stock was our primary source that people used to build houses in the 20th century and earlier. So it can affect them development wise and things of that nature. So it's dire important that we also understand that's why Buffalo, New York is pushing to remove lead from all things.
Well, I think this is one of the great things about what is happening with Open Buffalo around all of these issues that affect us.
Yeah,
Because part of the problem has always been that things like environment and in Black communities, people
absolutely.
thought they didn't have to think about it.
Yeah,
And in fact, when it came to think about it, a lot of people act like it was that stuff over their head that's
Yeah.
supposed to be somebody else.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, we didn't know we were living in what is a deathbed with all kind of poisons from all the
cancer.
factories that have been on the east
Yeah.
side. People piled on top of each other in kinds of housing that is not sufficiently laid out and provide for air flow and even sharing of water and other things. But I think this issue that the community it needs to understand is how important the work y'all doing on this issue.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't get in it overnight.
Right.
We won't get out of it overnight. But community, what I'm hearing being said is, look, in order for us to remedy it, you got to be part of the solution.
Right.
You got to step forward to programs like this and make yourself available to participate in. Let's discover how much of our land around where we live and play is messed up and take advantage of the opportunities that exist to do some not only the remedies, but the remediation, like, is that real or is it not real? Because we hear of land that at one point was, oh, you can't live there, and then suddenly you're building on it, and nobody, well, how did that get cleared so quick, and who? So if there is a way, we need to know, and I just see you doing such a needed broader connection on that and challenging us community to really grow up and do. I mean, we've been hearing about stuff. The question is, when are we going to do something about it? And so this is a call to do something about it. Y'all gonna tell us like how to get in touch with you?
Yes, sir.
And how?
Oh,
Well,
yes,
I'm
sir.
shutting up because I want to hear some more.
You can reach me at Open Buffalo at 716-243-8777 extension 109. That's me, Mr. Gregory Glover, like the actor Danny Glover or Savion Glover.
He loves to say Danny Glover.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Greg, you are amazing all in yourself. Everyone who calls the office gets, to talk to Greg first. And he says, peace, 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 assalamu alaikum. And he's greeting everyone. But the real point of it all that we do as staff there is we have a heart for our community. Over the summer, I worked with a program called Get the Let Out. And that was because a lot of the homes that were built on the east side, specifically along the Cold Spring corridor, Jefferson corridor, has galvanized and lead piping still. Mm-hmm. And the residents are so frustrated, right, with government that they are not believing when I'm coming in and saying, hey, there's a program that's going to get you new pipes for free to the resident.
That's a fact.
There is resources that have been put into place to ensure that the residents get free pipes installed in their homes. Even if you're a renter, you can call your landlord and say, hey, I need to get my pipes checked. And if the pipes come back that they're lead or galvanized, they're going to come out for free and redo them. And so when I got in tap with this initiative, I thought to myself, wow, I've been a Buffalo native all my life. And I had no idea that the reason my skin was so dry when I took a shower was because I was showering with lead-based water. I had no understanding as to why my hair was coming out when I was showering. So a lot of residents think, okay, I get bottled water, so I'm safe, but it's not. You're brushing your teeth with this water. You're washing your face with this water. You're washing your hands with this water, and your skin is dry, and you are opening yourself up to toxins. These toxins that are in these pipes are poisonous. Lead is a poison. Right? It's a poison. And that's why when people buy homes and they get them redone, they get the PVC pipes because they understand the importance of having clean water. Our community does not understand that. So when I'm sitting out at the Meriwether Library and I'm saying, please sign up for this, they're going, oh no, they not going to do nothing about these. Auntie, that's how they say it.
I'm telling you,
they not gonna do nothing about these pipes. They don't care nothing about us.
Right.
And I'm going, I care. Open Buffalo cares. That's why we partner with whatever organization we need to partner with to ensure that our residents are taken care of.
Y'all got to be feeling this. I mean, look, we're in a great moment, even though we're in a frustrating moment. There is still a great moment here to do some things to rectify some stuff that should have been taken care of. And I watch Open Buffalo evolve in so many ways. And I mean, not only the power that is being developed in the room, I'm talking about they're bringing it to the street.
Yes.
You can see them anywhere often. And, the doors are always open. And I just want to encourage you, don't take this for granted. Look, we got a lot of organization that fronting, and I know they're fronting, but I dare you to check out Open Buffalo and take advantage of these programs. That's if you don't step up to take advantage of them, what's the use of them having these programs?
And another thing too, with this, along to piggyback on what she said.
Who is she? No one's properly introduced me yet.
I thought she was going to introduce herself.
This is she, her, Felicia C. Ali. I worked in this studio alongside Pastor Bridget for years. It is so happy to be back home,
Yeah.
back in front of the mic. So they just keep saying she, and I'm like, I go by she,
Yeah.
but my name is Mrs. Felicia C. Ali.
I love it. And then, see, we keep it real. I tell you, they're not like us. We keep
You
it
know
very
what,
real.
Greg, before you, because I just want to piggyback off what Mr. Jim said in terms of what Open Buffalo does in the community. We have the most phenomenal executive director and deputy director. Franchelle Parker and Max are so enthusiastic about and passionate, really, about the work that they do in this community. These are not two individuals who just have a title. These are not two individuals who just come to work every day. They come to work really with the thought that they want to make Buffalo better. And they're raising their kids here, and they're building their families here, and they're establishing community here. And I just really wanted to take a second to say thank you to our executive and deputy directors for the work, for their hearts, for the passion for this community, because Franchelle or Max, they're not natives of Buffalo, right? But they're residents of Buffalo, and they care about what's happening within our community. And I appreciate them so much. As a Buffalo native myself, I'm going, thank you for your hearts and your passion and the jobs that you've offered.
We're born.
Right?
We're born. And I think within this work, what I tend to do and what I tend to believe is I can't ask you to do something that I haven't done.
Yes.
Or not going to do. So in relationship to the lead pipes, if she needed a witness, I can bear witness because I got mine done. That's a fact. When I talk about people getting their land soil tested, I can bear witness because I got mine tested. So I tend to try to lead from the front and not as a person selling you something. And that makes a difference in my view too. Because if a person is selling you something, you tend to be skittish. And that can truly make you not want to do something. Secondly, in this work or any work that you're trying to elevate the people and help the people, when you're on this side of it, we also have to understand that you just may not want it. And as bad as it may hurt me or aggravate me, I have to accept that. And then I have to keep moving on because the fight still goes on.
But Greg, what is it? So when you got your soil tested, right, what were the impacts as a homeowner? Because I really want to talk about the pros and the cons to this.
Well, for me, having done it, there are no cons. It's just nothing but pros.
But if you went to sell your home,
right? The pro would be, listen, I got the land tested. This is what the numbers say, and based upon the numbers, this is what we can do, or based upon the numbers, this is what we have done.
But how does this impact my property value now?
It impacts your property value simply this way. We are changing that concept. What we're doing is if we're able to provide a resolution to the, say, at the top level where we test at, say if we wanted to be able to provide more mulch and all of those things, I believe that helps the property because the mulch, for example, would help absorb some of that lead. So by the traditional numbers that I don't have in front of me, but if I have a home that I'm trying to sell and I take the necessary steps to keep the home safe for future sellers, buyers and or sellers, I believe it helps the buyer and the seller because number one, I am cognizant of what has happened. I also want to be able to provide the buyer another resource. You know what I mean? And I just am a firm believer in the process.
And this is, I support, obviously,
Yeah.
I support
Yes.
soil sampling. I'm speaking about when I get out into the community, these are the concerns.
Mhm.
How is this going to affect my property value? Why should I care? I don't have children playing in my yard. Why is this a problem for me? And so what I'm trying to do here is cultivate a conversation between you and myself and Mr. Jim. I want to know how the property owner is impacted by getting their soil sample.
The property owner the property owner is impacted in this way because the then president, Joe Biden, signed that bill in the summer of 23, making it so that he wanted all lead removed from property.
Yeah, but I think the value is that if you don't have those things done, and then in the kind of moment that we're in where there's a lawsuit for everything, if you were playing in your neighbor's yard and suddenly got sick, it could be the soil. I mean, right now, there's a requirement. You want to have a safe home. If it's unsafe, if you haven't done those things to get it cleared, just have it already on the record, somebody coming about, well, I don't know, you need to get this checked. And if you haven't even looked at it yourself, you could get bamboozled. If you have it done, I think it protects the value of your home. And in fact, probably make it even more valuable to someone that this stuff is already done. I mean, those are just minor ways. But I also think the greater part is that understanding this is something real.
Yes.
People are acting like, oh, well, that ain't gonna happen here. It's been happening. A lot of the illnesses we got, we don't know how many of them come from that. All the lead that ain't no telling how much lead might have ate when I was a kid. I'm brilliant, but sometimes I wonder.
Right. I did it.
But I'm just saying, we don't know. And now that we're becoming aware that there are these conditions, we want to be on the right kind of level too. And that's the problem. We don't want to have a contaminated neighborhood.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what we got now.
And the reason why, and that's a great point, Jim. The other portion of this is that we have to understand that this was a very important hub of the Industrial Revolution. And so with that said, to your point, when we go to the steel industry, Bethlehem Steels and all those other places, right? The impacts of this soil sampling are far greater than the homes. We have historical reason why to do this. Because even right now, if you go out to Lackawanna, you can't put no houses and nothing on that Bethlehem Steel property. Not at all.
Why?
Because it's highly, highly, highly contaminated. The only thing you could possibly do on that land is to use it for like more plant use, and things of that nature. So we have a history here that is also big, that has to be addressed and analyzed, and also with the understanding we may not be able to get it all ourselves, because it does require funding, more help. So we are in partnership with like the Department of Environmental Conservation, Citizen Science with Jackie James, the Massachusetts Avenue Project with Joe Kurtz, also with the University of Buffalo with Dr. Lourdes Vera and people like that. So we're in trying to get more partners in to also assist in the branching out of the issue to help us, because it's a lot. We're looking into having youth, teaching them how to soil sample, hopefully being able to also provide them stipends for the training and all that stuff. So it's a lot to the work. It's just a lot to it. But I find if you make yourself a part of it, as they say in the Bible, when I was in my Christian background, there's a lot of work to be done in the vineyard, but not enough workers.
Well, let me ask you this again. Now, I don't have to ask you, I know, but I probably need to tell the listeners. They can come to Where on Jefferson?
1327 Jefferson Avenue.
What's the hours?
We are open from literally 8 to 5 every day.
So you can show up there. You can go look on the website.
Mhm.
It's important.
www.openbuffalo.org.
And the program is about these lead pipes you got, as well as your soils testing, and let's be a part of it. Let's make our community a lot better. And you got some young folks who, if you introduce them to it, they'll take the lead for your family. I mean, I'm just saying we need to act on them. Well, I want to thank you both. I got a special place to Open Buffalo,
Yes, sir.
and so I know the work you're doing, and the opportunities you're bringing, and we need to take advantage of them. So I just would say, keep on. You basically are seed droppers.
Yes, sir.
You just keep dropping the seed. And we're hit where we can have a harvest. We'll have a harvest.
Yes, sir.
And some may get there late. Some might miss it, but that's all right, because they'll wind up having to give up what they got, and then get it. Somebody else to fix it up. But I'm just saying, you heard it, community. That's Open right. Buffalo.
And you can hit us again you can hit me at greg@openbuffalo.org. That's greg@openbuffalo.org. Phone number 716-243-8777, extension 109.
Cool. We're going to a break?
Yeah.
Okay. We got 2 minutes, and then we're going to a break, and then we'll be switching out. Well, if I
could comment on something, I do feel like I even see something else for you guys where at Bennett, I'm talking to students. I think number one, it's important that you don't find a lot of people who are boots on the ground. Go and have someone who's table in the Mayweather Library, meeting people where they're at is a skill. And I think to your point, we are as a people really coming just around the bend to like understanding how important environment is to how we develop and really just interact with the world. I think we're not necessarily saying we're behind. We've had a lot of other things in these past 200, 300 years that we've been dealing with, where simply worrying about the trees on the street wasn't as important or in precedent. But as we get to this time, we're understanding that the impacts of some of these things, I think the difficulty is, to your point, it's like these pros and cons. A lot of people are like, well, I don't want to get off of work in soil sample. I don't even know what that means. That sounds real complicated, real invasive. And I don't understand the value of what these things do. But I think for me, when I'm looking at a community, information is valuable.
Yes, sir.
Information is valuable, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up real quick. I'm going to go and send it right back to commercial break. But whether you get this testing done or not, if you have lead in your soil, it's impacting you. And if you don't, so just not knowing isn't solving the issue.
Right.
But knowing, we talk about what's the value of it. That's an amenity. Oh, my house lead tested and free.
Right.
That's why the price extra $2,000.
Right.
My house lead tested and free.
Right.
And it sounds like I'm joking, but no, that's what it is. Like,
right.
This is an amenity, just like premium floors. I'm guaranteeing you're gonna have a good house. Somebody taking care of that. And if you haven't, you better just hope they don't ask about it. So what's the value? Information is key, and whether you get it tested or not, if it's an issue, it's going to be an issue. But we're going to go ahead and go to a commercial break. But I just appreciate you guys for being here today. And I know I'll be seeing Open Buffalo out. So thank you guys for the work you do.
And that was my baby cousin right there.
Look at in the house right here. Well, thank you both. We're going to switch out, but look, y'all know. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me get your number. Yes.
Hey, Jill, if when you come back from vacation, when you go vacation in May?
I'm be around though. I'm probably headed to Japan.
When you leave?
Well, that's gonna be in probably around August.
Okay. Can I come back in May?
If I may not be on air.
Or whenever you come back.
Okay. I may not be on air, period. Because I want to step away for a little while until Sheila comes back and do that. Okay. But I'll hit you up on it. Hey, Cindy. Okay.
Thank you, Jim, man. Thank you.
Always.
Thank you, little brother. Always a pleasure, man.
I'll be seeing you around more because the work ain't done. The work ain't done.
We just getting started.
Yes, sir.
Just get started. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, Cindy.
All right.
the hot seat.
Yeah.
Dig it.
How are you?
All right, how are
See
you?
you later. I'm all right.
All right, cool. And you can move over a little bit more if you want.
Sure.
You can
Let me go
just-
to the
We're gonna be headed back in 3, 2.
Okay. Hey, we're back. You're listening to Conversation with Jim Anderson and Austin Martin. And we're on our second half of the show, and our guest is coming from an organization called Peace Prince. Now, you asked what that means. I'm not going to tell you, but my guest is going to tell us. And so let's move right into it because time flies. But Cindy, we're gonna have you next. Why not let it out? Her name is Cindy, but she's gonna tell you the rest of who Cindy is and why she's here, and we'll take it from there. Welcome, Cindy. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me. So, Cindy McCacken, I'm the CEO of Peace Prince of Western New York. For those not familiar, Peace Prince is a reentry organization. So, we work with youth and adults that are returning from incarceration. We might work with you while you're inside, whether it's a local facility or in the state facilities. And then the bulk of what we do is when you get out. Kind of the mentality that we're going to believe in you until you're ready to believe in yourself and continue to move that pathway through success.
That's some hard work. I mean, particularly when folks are getting out and not finding places to live, not finding employment, and going into communities that have not prepared themselves to receive them back. And so your group must be pretty pushed up against the wall with the kind of help you want to do with them.
Yeah, so I would say that I have an incredible team. They are so creative and they take every situation in its uniqueness to the situation and they come up with creative solutions. Sometimes it takes us a little bit, but where there's a will, there's a way. And we have no problem being scrappy and moving in and around the barriers that exist to fill those gaps and connect the dots, which give individuals the tools, the ability to feel empowered, the path, the bridge, if you will, to go from one step to the next. And that's how we view ourselves.
Do you house them somewhere? Do you have where you house them? And
Yeah, we have a small subset of housing. Most well known is the Bissonnet House. That's on Grider across from ECMC. But in total, we have 35 beds that are available. Not nearly enough, but unfortunately, with some of the zoning laws and bureaucratic red tape that exists in the city of Buffalo, 35 beds is what we have.
And how is that doing in the neighborhood? In the neighborhood, that's over near where your program has been. How is the integration back into the community been going?
So that program has been there since the 90s. It's been there for a long time, and overall, knock on wood, it's been okay. It has its ups and downs, but when folks come back, they're excited. It's opportunity, right? There is an excitement and an energy to move forward, and that particular house, that building, it provides those supports. So more often than not, but not always, folks are ready. They're ready to jump in and they're ready to access what's available to them.
Is there anything particular the community can do for Peace Prince right now?
Yeah, so we have our big event coming up next week. That is April 24th, and that's our signature fundraiser. It is our client art show. So it's a little bit of a unique event. This is only the third year that we're doing it. But ultimately, the goal for us is not just to raise funds for the organization, to keep doing the creative things that we do, but it's to connect the humanity back to the individuals that we serve. Often we define people by the worst thing that we can, and often that's the conviction. The reality is there's so much more to everybody that we work with. And this art show is that opportunity to showcase the humanity and tell the story in a different way. So it is art that is created by individuals that are in all facets of our programming. Some of it's the in-jail programming, and then some of it is the community-based programs. Our youth also participate. They're 12 to 18. And they man, they create some pretty incredible pieces of art that go up for auction. And they have the ability to share their story. Usually there's a write-up next to it. We have a lot of our artists, if available, the artists are there to talk about their work as well. And it's just a great opportunity for us to share with the community, not only the great work that we do, but the great humans that we work with.
Have you heard about the business?
I'm about to say so I work at Northland. So
First one was at Northland.
I'm in outreach, and so I'm out at these events, and so
Yeah.
even for us being one of our target populations, being returning citizens, we've been at events, and I actually have some people I want to just, because you said you have a great team, and I've been out and you see the same people consistently. So
Absolutely.
Miss Monica, Miss Atiana,
Yes.
Mr. Jacob, Miss Luna, Miss Luna, who's over the beast in that house. So all these are people who, when you go out to the community, you will see Miss Christy Cleaver. Like these are people who you will see them out really doing work. And I'm not going to necessarily go on raving and take all our time, but I think that it's very important when you think about re-entry. There's really two things that I think are very important to think about. One being meeting people where they are, and that's the biggest thing. A lot of people have their identity when they come out of incarceration is so wrapped up in incarceration. When that's all you think you can do, it's hard to believe you can do better. And one of the privileges of my job, I've always said, is being able to speak life to areas people haven't had life spoken to in years. Like that don't define you. We don't care. That was one piece. That was a mistake. And I think the second piece when we think about reentry is this important idea of like, what are those programs? What is the Department of Corrections for? Is it a place for punishment or is it a place for rehabilitation, right? Do people deserve a second chance? And if they do, I challenge and say that it becomes our job to build the systems and structures to give them that second chance. So I think an organization like Peace Prince is almost necessary in a way, because it's to your point with the upcoming event, it's rehumanizing these people that it's so easy to point fingers at. Most people have never had really been in incarceration and never even been in that world. And so you just are living on these stereotypes. These people are, these are bad people. These are people who instead of looking at it as people that made mistakes and paid the price and did their time. And so if we're believing that these systems are for rehabilitation, which we tell ourselves, then if that's the case, not even talk on the prison system, but if that's the case, then when they get out, they deserve to be human. They are human. Like they deserve to be treated with the same standard. And so I just give my props to Peace Prince. They're out on the ground. I got invitations to events all the time. And for us as an organization like Northland, it really is a partner in the effort to say that everybody deserves a chance to get back on their feet. And so I think, like I said, I have some names I had to shout out to the people.
See, like he worked for
all right.
Yeah, definitely give my props to Peace Prince. And I have heard of a lot of different events and programs that you guys have, and they're necessary. They're like, I'm like a big proponent of that. It is actually necessary, because that's what we're saying, that we support sending people to these institutions to be rehabilitated. So you got to make sure that process is full.
Man, look, y'all taking on, y'all knocking on a big wall that exists in the community, because there's this attitude, and I'm talking about we in the community, the attitude that, well, they must have done something. You don't even have no idea what it was, but it's like they must have done something, and then we hold it over their head for life, or we like they tainted or something. And so community, there's a double call here. Not only is it an opportunity for someone who's returning to community to get a lift up and some help to get back on track, but there is a need for us to change our attitudes and the way we deal with folks. You know, there are folks who we know, if they go away and come back, we kind of, okay, oh yeah, well, I know them. Well, I'm just saying, even if you don't know them, once a person has served their time, coming back and is on a trail of trying to do better, we should have opportunities to help. And one of them should be, how about a smile instead of a funny look and you know, acting as though you can't befriend them. I just enjoyed this part of listening to what you were saying. And Cindy, I mean, I'm like, Cindy, get out of here. Cindy gonna hire you or something. You know, I mean, community love. We don't often have that.
I know. Steven, sorry.
I love Northland
No hard
so
feelings.
much. I love Northland so much, man.
But I
jump out of bed,
I don't get nobody gigs in trouble. But I'm just saying, you know, look, many people don't know who's been incarcerated or not. And but then they hear about a program and they get nervous. Don't get nervous. They just fellow citizens and they need some help, just like all of us need some help. We can all make our community better, and it'd be better if we treat each other better. But I'm gonna shut up because, as you can already tell, Peace Prince got a legacy.
Mhm.
And Cindy, I'm look, I know that that's hard work because those who aren't returning, the frustration that you mentioned of being pushed away or people turning a shoulder can wear you down, and then to have to be in a group that you're trying to hold up the spirits, and their reality is people are like pinching and sniping at them. I just think that's very difficult work, and so I'm too will say, you know, hats off to you and your team that are doing this, and for the many years, you know, it's existed and been carrying on, and they're not begging. You're talking about doing something that everybody's interested in now, art. What is it, AKG?
Yeah.
You might need to buy some of these pieces or do a show. You know, you got all that space. You know.
Right.
Anyway, I'm just
I
saying.
like it. I like where you're headed here with
You know.
this. Yeah, no, keep
No.
thinking that way. I like this.
And I do have, I'm about to say, I have a selfish question just for, because this information I'm curious about just to know. And I do want to touch on the event just to kind of give more information for those who do want to get involved. But as far as like you guys' intake process, I've had people come to tours at Northland for information about us, and they're saying, hey, I also just kind of need some direction, but I'm not fully familiar on what that, like, if I was returning and then I wanted to get involved with Peace Prince, what does that intake process look like? Who would I reach out to? Where would I go? Or how do I get involved with Peace Prince if I am one of those clients that you're looking to serve?
Yeah, there's multiple different ways. So the residential component, and I'll bring this up since we talked about it to start with, is a little bit different because that one does require permission and referral from your parole officer. That's the one program out of the multitude of programs we have that has that particular rule attached to it. Outside of that, you can self-refer. So we have people that literally just see the sign outside sometimes of our building and then walk in. And that's where it starts. We have folks that go to our website and they will drop a line on the general email that comes right in on the info tab on our website. And that comes to me and I will forward it off to whomever, depending on what program that seems to fit. And then we have referrals that come in sometimes from family. We have referrals that come from attorneys, from probation, from the courts, you name it. If folks are incarcerated, they actually refer themselves while they're inside in the Erie County Correctional Facility. We come right up on the kiosk so they can self-refer right into our program, and that generates and kicks right out to our team so they can connect with individuals. So there's a multitude of ways. And I will say that every single one of the things I mentioned are ways that people connect with us. And then through just community organizations, right? They might engage with somebody who thinks, based on hearing the story, that they might be a good fit, and they will also make that kind of warm handoff.
So a family, let's say there's someone who's been incarcerated and they're back home with their own family, they can take participation in your program?
Absolutely, in our Project Blue program. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. So we'll have family members who have a loved one that maybe isn't out yet, but is close to coming out. So they start doing a little bit of research on their own to see what's out there. We come up and we'll often, usually it's an email that comes in right off the website is what we'll get from family most frequently, or a cold call. They will just call us and start asking some questions, and we'll
That's an
connect.
important point you just made, because community, as you hear this, you know, you may have a loved one or someone who's close to you. It's a way for you to not only take the information you're hearing today, but get in touch and find out, you know, what can you do to help this person or this family, or to recommend, because that's what it's about. It's about helping each other and not judging. How, you know, what did you do? Is what are you prepared to do now? We're all trying to do the right thing and make a healthier community. And there are a lot of different ways to do it, and there are a lot of hands that could help. Even those that sometimes think, oh, I can't offer much, but wow,
Sometimes just an ear,
yeah.
right? Just an ear. Organic relationships in the community, right? Something that it's not a paid professional sitting in front of you. Sometimes just being a friend is so powerful, especially when somebody's coming back and they're reconnecting, right? Assimilating back into the community, shifting groups or spaces that they originally are used to go to, and trying to come up with new opportunities. I mean, that it goes a long way.
Where would the art sale be at again?
This is at Eccles at Larkin. So that's on Seneca Street. And it is April 24th from 6 to 8. So next Thursday evening.
And I'm sorry, I keep because this is so
No,
like
go
I
for
feel
it.
like returning citizens is so important to me. I feel like what we're kind of talking about as far as some of these programs is almost necessary. Like prison is a really big business. Like there's a lot of money in incarceration, and so within that, one of the best ways to continually get money is not through trying to get more people into the system, but just kind of returning people. So you get out, you do your time, you get out, go to those same places again, and then you come back in. So within that, rehabilitation isn't whatever your opinion is on the incarceration system. Rehabilitation doesn't stop when you get released or when you come home. It has to continue, because if you don't create new systems, create new identities, new groups, new habits, it's going to take you right back. And so it's essential that you are aware of these types of programs, because these are the types of things that keep people and give them the kind of groundwork that they need to continue to progress into the people that they probably wanted to be anyways. Right. When you really talk to people, like I said, we were under this impression that it's like a finger pointing, like this is what you did. This is, but when you talk to people, it's really mistakes. People who want to do better. When your environment, this is all you've ever seen, it is so difficult when you get out, if you don't have these different resources or support systems, not to go back into what you're doing, because that may be all you know. And even though you want different, if you don't know what different is, it's really hard sometimes to every day continually push yourself and believe yourself that you can achieve different when this is all you've ever known. And so it's just very essential, whether you're dealing with incarceration yourself, whether you know others who are dealing with it, to be aware of these resources, because these are the things that keep people from going back. It sounds like, oh, like you said, having someone to talk to or listen to. And my job, like, it's such a privilege. I do tours. I've talked to people for an hour after a tour, and I've said 2 words, and they're just going through and describing what it was like to be inside, what it did to their mind. But if you don't have those resources for you to be able to share or express those feelings, and they go bottled up, you go back and do the same exact things that get you back in there. And like I said, the moment you start to talk to more people that are dealing with incarceration in that system, the more you realize how these people are. It makes you just have a special place in your heart to say, I feel like sometimes as a society, we fail when we don't create these systems.
Yes.
Because it's just not fair. Like, it's not fair. I can't tell you have to go and do your time, and then you still got to suffer when you get home. That's not fair. Why did I go do the time then? Well, so it's within that thing to say, I think Peace Prince and other organizations are necessary. Collaboration between those organizations is necessary. And as a people, just like we talked about with Open Buffalo before, it is our job as a community to know and be aware of these opportunities and resources to better steer the people in our community towards better. So I just feel like it's very important for people to understand how this impacts them, even if you're not dealing with it yourself. Because it's your job. I'm saying your job to be informed on these things to better help other people around you do better. So I think it's essential to have these systems built in place, and Peace Prince is just an advocate and proponent of that. So
I do have a question. I know I got to get on the mic when I say it. So we're talking about the after, what happens after, but there is truth and there is data that talks about this from school to prison pipeline that happens with brown and Black boys, right? So my question is, do you have any partnerships with organizations that have proactive, or what types of programs to even prevent that? Because cycles happen because of systems, right? And if I don't know another way, I could really think that's my only destination. I don't know that people plan that, but your unconscious mind and your environments, they can make that happen. So I just want to know of organizations, or if your organization does it, what types of things do you have that are proactive, or what types of things are you guys doing in the schools or those relationships to make those things not happen, to give a different way?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So internally within Peace Princeton, I'm going to answer it in a couple different ways, but the first is internally within the agency right now. We have our Empower Youth program. So that is for young people 12 to 17, we'll say. So usually they're not quite 18 yet. And majority of the individuals in that program, the young people, are Buffalo Public School students or they are charter school students. The vast majority, I will say, are BPS. They're most often on long-term suspensions or within that cyclical pattern. This program emerged as a request, oddly enough, from the district attorney's office saying, please create Project Blue for young people. What you're doing for adults is great. We need to focus on the youth. So we did take a step back and started really looking at what that could be. And it has turned into more than we could have imagined. We have about 80 youth that are in the program now. They are referred, like I said, usually through the schools. They can be referred through the courts. Family are very much involved, but there are groups led by some of our team members and then the youth. The youth are actually moving and grooving in this space themselves. And the more time they're spending and the more healing that's occurring within that space, the more they become leaders and ambassadors themselves. So I know this Friday they have their first ever basketball tournament that they're putting on. We're keeping it small for this first one to make sure that we know what we're doing. But it is literally a team member and 3 of the youth. And there is going to be, I think there's 6 teams, don't quote me on it, but they've planned everything. This is all them. It's a healthy way to engage, and they're part of the planning process. That's huge, right? They're invested in what's going on.
I'll tell you what else is huge. I'm thinking again, 12 years old.
Yeah.
And so when we think about returning to the community, we're not thinking, but
Some of
that's
these youth are in
interesting. I mean,
placement.
that some of the y'all hear that?
But
That
that's
some
what
of the
I'm-
young people.
But that's what I'm saying, Jim. Like, and I think that's a great program. But even before that, and I think you're going to answer this question, because at 12 years old, that means some of these kids have set their destination is prison. Yeah. Because they don't have the community. They don't even have the family. They could be from any type of environment. And I want us to make it clear that, yes, we're talking about brown and black boys, but it's not just us. Like, I think we live in a world now where that's like a mixture thing. A combination of people, but I know our focus is like brown and black boys for here. But even before that, because if I get to that point, teachers and everybody else is like, I don't want little whoever back in my classroom. Parents could be like, I'm fed up. So prior to that, what are we doing?
So I try to separate these two things in my own personal life, but they're not. They're very much connected. So I am a school board member for Buffalo Public Schools. I ran last round and I am finishing up my first term, but a big piece of it is because exactly what you're saying. We're talking about a much longer, I don't want to say long-term, but more of a systems change mindset, right? We're talking about permanent transformation and looking at old archaic systems and ways of doing things and challenging it, right? To not only heal, but come up with creative and alternate solutions and what that looks like. And that is starting with our youngest, right, as they're entering, because that school to prison pipeline is undeniable. There is a lot of data to show that. And the fact of the matter is, if you're born into this world today as a black or brown boy, you have a 1 in 3 chance of going to jail and prison in your lifetime the day you're born, right? Like, that's just the statistic. If you have a parent, a mom or a dad that is currently in jail or is in jail in those formative years, that goes up 50%. So the likelihood of you entering jail or prison is astronomically high before anything in life has actually happened. That's what we're contending with. That's the reality. But it's not just one system, and that's the other piece. We silo all of these elements, but the reality of it is we have to look at our schools 110%. The equity surrounding the schools, the way they're operating and what that looks like. But we also have to look at resources that are truly available and the resources around our community and how we are siloing those, right? You're not going to see the same thing across our city. We talk about it all the time. In fact, we have a mayoral race happening and I hear everyone talking about it all the time. But I need to see action. I need to see stop talking and do, right? And not just an immediate, I'm going to put a Band-Aid over it to give you an illusion that something is happening, but that long-term transformative, right, change that would then have that lasting effect. That's the systems change. And it's so slow in terms of its movement, but you continue to chip away at that because you're talking about a culture shift that has to happen in a mindset.
It is not a silo. It's all connected. And to your point, what do we do proactively? We get parents out of prison to be able to better raise their children and say, hey, I've done these things. The reason why I've never wanted to get into that world, because I've been blessed and grateful enough to have people in my life who've experienced incarceration tell me there's nothing in that you want. There's nothing here for you. And that's what's been part of the motive to keep me out of it. Because it's attractive. It's fast money. Like, man, I want to get money. But they told me ain't nothing for you. Even in that conversation that I had with that strange gentleman, I just met him at the tour that day. We talked for an hour and he was like, listen, ain't nothing in that world for you. If you ever have a doubt in your mind, there's a day where you're thinking, maybe I just don't. Stop. It's not for you. And that's what we do before they're at risk. You help them understand why the path they're going down has nothing at the end for them besides a cell or a box. And when you do that, people stop going to those avenues. But I did miss the time. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It was good.
If you want to give us a date and time and then have us break, that's all we're really going to have time
all right.
for.
So our third annual client art show is April 24th, which is next Thursday from 6 to 8 at Eccles at Larkin.
Okay. Thank